Are we there yet? How much longer till we're there? We probably all heard these questions coming from the back seat, but I recently heard them from a room full of adults who weren't in a car. Hello everybody, thank you for joining me. I'm Bill Wood. Welcome to this edition of Numbers That Matter Shorts. And if any of you listened to the press conference following the recent meeting by the Fed Open Markets Committee, Jay Powell addressed a room full of reporters, and the main question was, are we there yet, and how much longer till we're there? And by are we there yet, I think they were referring to the soft landing. Have we achieved a soft landing yet? And if not, how much longer? How much longer does the Fed need before they decided the landing is soft and they can start the next easing cycle in interest rates? And so today I want to talk about what my takeaways were from Powell's answers at that press conference, and also his very strategically timed and highly curated interview with 60 Minutes. What I think that means for the next few weeks and months for small manufacturers, and especially small plastics manufacturers, small to mid-sized companies. So my main takeaways, first of all, let me say that I'm not here to argue with the Fed or even give a different opinion at this point or criticize what they're doing. They have a very difficult job, and they also have access to a huge array of resources and data that I don't have, and they have a lot of brain power as well. So I listen very closely to what they're saying, and I try to put myself in their shoes, try to be a good listener. That does not mean that I always agree with what they're saying, because I don't. And the reason I don't is because they are not always right. Predicting the future is hard, even for all of the Fed heads. So I give them a lot of latitude. I listen very closely. And here's my takeaways from what they're saying. First of all, Powell came right out and said there's almost no chance that they're going to start the rate reductions in March. A few weeks ago, the market was, the financial markets were betting that the first rate was going to be, the first rate cut was going to come in March. And now they've backed off of that. And it's very clear to me that the Fed wants to see all of the data from the first quarter before they make a decision. So if the meeting in March, obviously they won't have all the March data. So the next meeting is scheduled for the very first day, last day in April, first day in May. They happen about every 6 weeks. So it's the May meeting, it's called. It'll be the 1st of May. And so by that time, they will have had all 3 months of CPI data from the first quarter, PPI data from the first quarter. They will also have the first quarter GDP data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. That will be released toward the end of last few days in April. And that has also includes the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, which is another way of measuring inflation, a very important way. And so the Fed, in my opinion, Jerome Powell's messaging indicates this. They want to see all of the data from the first quarter. Well, why do they want to see the data from the first quarter? Haven't we seen enough? Isn't inflation going in the right direction? And that kind of thing. Yes, it is going in the right direction. So why this importance on the first quarter? In my opinion, what they didn't say, a couple of things. First of all, there's a chance if you get down into the weeds of some of the data and some of the stickier pricing categories and that kind of thing, that we will see a uptick in inflation data in the first quarter. And that danger looks like it could wane after the first quarter, but we might see a small uptick in the data just from sort of technical reasons. But I think the main thing that they're wanting to make sure of is they really don't understand why you raise interest rates as much as they have recently in the past couple of years, and we still have this strong of an economy and this strong of a labor market. Labor market strength tends to put upward pressure on prices. And that's because workers have money, that increases demand, they spend it. And so rising spending, rising wages, rising employment data tend to put upward pressure on prices. And I think they really want to just make doubly sure that this recent strength we saw in the employment data, and the January number was tremendous as far as the number of new jobs. They want to make sure this isn't putting upward pressure on prices. So before they commit to the cutting cycle, they're just going to make sure that we have got inflation down to a sustainable 2% in that range. And they need more time. And to be honest with you, I don't blame them, because I'm looking at this employment data and I can't figure out how inflation isn't a real risk, rising inflation at this point, given the number of people employed and the amount of money. So what does that mean for small companies? I've put a table up to demonstrate what I think that means going forward. And if you look at it, I've compared all of the four major stock indices: S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, Dow Jones Industrials, and the Russell 2000. And I'm using this not because I think that plastics industries are in any of these indexes. There are a few, but not many. But I think the Russell 2000 represents the kind of companies that are small manufacturers, including plastics companies. And what you see is that all of the indexes are at or near all-time highs. They've been blowing it out recently to the upside, with the exception of the Russell 2000. Small companies, medium-sized companies are not doing well in this interest rate environment. They need lower interest rates, and they need economic growth, and we don't have that combination right now. So the Russell's actually underperforming. It's actually down for the year. The other three are at all-time highs, and the Russell hadn't hit an all-time high in over 2 years, and it's actually down so far this year. I think that's a proxy for the conditions that many of you are experiencing, many of you are feeling, and this is an indicator that I'm going to be looking at closely before I get a real good sense that things are about to look better for small manufacturers, particularly. But we need lower interest rates, that's for sure, and we need economic growth, that's for sure, and we don't have that right now. And until we get those things, I think it's going to be more of the same. So I will continue to watch this. We'll talk about this more in future videos, but this is where we are, and I think it's going to be that way for several months. Thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.